Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old and new England games and ask just how England was this.
It's been a while, so we're checking in with the Free Lions as preparations for Euro 2024 gather pace, including friendlies against Brazil and Belgium. How's your Euro fevers treating you? I'll do that line once more because I kind of stumbled. I'll just say How's Euros fever treating you? Once more. How's Euros? Can you hear me, Clem Fandango? How's Euros fever treating you?
Yes.
You may be a stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me.
There we go. We are back. It's been a while, as we say, checking in with the Free Lions, checking in with my man Nick, and you're checking in with me. Let's not get
Yeah.
let's not get it mixed up.
It's
It's
not a
not my
social services call. You're not just coming around to make sure I haven't like pressed the wrong button or turned the light off or burnt the fridge down.
There's nothing wrong with him. He's just doing it for attention. He's absolutely fine. He's just
You know what?
lonely.
He's really selective about his hearing. You say something over there, oh, he'll soon hear it if you say about he's not coming around next week.
Is that a sign of Euros fever? Is that a symptom? I think
Yeah,
you
you
know
probably yeah.
it's been a little while since we caught up. I mean, England haven't been doing much, but I guess in the background of all of our lives is pending Euro 2024 action. I'm getting there. I'm
Mm,
definitely getting there in terms of Euros fever. The England game on Saturday against Brazil helped a little bit. Also, kind
mm.
of made me a bit not that excited. Um, One thing I would say that's got me very excited is the pending arrival of my first son and
Absolutely.
the England kit I've purchased for him. So, yeah, looking forward to him wearing that for games against Serbia and Denmark. I think I've been saying this kid is going to be born and England will win a tournament within 4 months of him being alive, and I'm going to resent him for the rest of his life for
He's
that
only ever
reason.
known success.
Yeah, exactly.
You put
Spoiled.
the time in. You put the time in though, so his success is your success, really.
So, how's your Euros fever? Is it creeping up? Are you a bit cold or?
It's slightly odd. I don't know whether to announce that I'm very ill or I'm just absolutely fine. I don't know which way to go really, because I guess a lot's happened since we've actually last did anything in terms of a pod. I've actually booked to go out there, which is
Oh,
obviously a thing with a friend of the show, Adam. So we're going to go out there for the first game. I think we're in the city where England are playing their first game, even though we haven't got tickets. But we're just going to go out there and drink it in and be very normal English people.
well,
Um,
sorry to interject there, but before I forget, because I will, I was going to say storm the gates. Have you seen they're doing a documentary about the Euro 2020 final?
yes,
It's coming to Netflix. It's called like The Fall of Wembley,
this is like
Invasion.
it's called something like Final.
Yeah.
It's just something like that. It's like, what the fuck is this again? Oh, this is when some people without tickets got into a stadium. Like, I think we said at the time, it's very, I'd rather that didn't happen. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it was one of those things where with any final, it's just the wrong people are already in the ground.
Yeah.
Like you've
It's
already
just
got the mad dignitaries who are drinking swan's blood and going to these awful parties afterwards and before and like really drawing it out where the actual fans, the real hooligans, are kept out because they've been priced out, which I disagree with. But yeah, just what the fuck are you doing? What you should have done, I saw someone say they should have done when Man United got their game called off with the Super League. Like do a thing about everything that happened about that. That's more interesting.
yeah, there's more to it than that.
There's
But
more clubs and everything like that, and like when people knew what at certain times, not just violence and a flare up an arse.
Netflix is definitely in that WWE network territory of let's anything that's ever happened
Yeah,
documentary. And like
content.
there's like a very you remember like back in the day documentaries used to like vary in tone and style, and that was what made them interesting, even
Mm,
if the topic was like something you'd heard about before. It could be presented in a different way, but It's like a formula now, isn't it? Like there's you just know exactly how every documentary that Netflix makes is going to go beat by beat.
You've got like that. I think the one that ruined it all was that Fire Festival. Like it was
Yeah, yeah.
good, but it was like that's been the tone for everything they've ever done since. Of just like we just wanted to make some money, and then blah, like evil comes, and it was all a fuck up.
Yeah, so you're going out to Germany?
Yeah, that's what we were saying, weren't we? Yeah, I'm going out to Germany. Should be interesting. I don't really know what to expect. I've been in touch with others to try and see almost like what do you do when you're out there? Because I don't want to be part of the violence
Yeah,
like brigade. I don't
you
want to
surprised
be
me.
yeah, I don't want to be throwing or being hit with patio furniture. So I'd
Yeah.
rather try and find another way around it. But yeah, we're going out. We're going to Berlin and then to Gelsenkirchen, then traveling back the next day. Even though I've just found out that I don't think England's first game kicks off until like 9 p.m. local time.
Yeah,
Kind of wishing I'd got a later train that next day.
it's 8 p.m. over here, so that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you find a way to have fun, and
Yeah.
looking forward to reacting to that when the time comes. So, you've got your kind of Euros fever decompartmentalized. It's there, ready to
Mm.
explode. You've kind of planned ahead.
Yeah, there was an early outbreak. I was at Wembley at the weekend for my first game at Wembley since you and I went in 2010. So
Hardcore fans, yeah,
we went to Mexico.
not doing a podcast for about 5 months, and then openly admitting we haven't been to a game for 15 years or what. Yeah, but yeah, go on. You went to England v Brazil at Wembley. Anything to report?
Don't get a bus to Wembley. Bad idea, I'd say.
What, from Birmingham?
No, not from Birmingham. So we got to London. We stopped into our hotel to check in. We stopped at a pub, and then was like, okay, how are we going to get to Wembley? Kind of wish we'd have just done the thing that was easy, which is get the tube. But I
Mm.
thought, okay, there's a bus here. It takes half an hour. That's easy. Hour and 10 minutes we were on that bus, and we still walked 40 minutes to Wembley ourselves. So bad stuff. We got in just as the national anthems were starting, though. So that wasn't, we
That's all
actually,
right.
we got in on time. It was fine. But just one of those days where just admin takes over and you just think, God, this happens to no other person but me. And I thought
It's
you'd sympathize with that because I feel like you are very much in that category as well, where the world just decides not today.
yeah. Oh God, we've all. I mean, I've not been there for an England game, but those kind of scenarios
Mm.
definitely appear. I mean, it took me back to when we went to go and see Parcels in London, and
Fuck
and
yeah.
what the train strikes were on, so we drove to Watford and parked up there, and then the next day we got on a bus that was going in the wrong direction to get back. Oh, that was painful.
I'm pretty sure we started traveling just before 12 o'clock and you dropped me back at my house, I'd say 6:30.
Yeah, yeah, and I was
And you
just
still got to go.
yeah, wanted to just get back for my ice cold dandelion and burdock. That was an
Yeah.
overriding memory. Anyway, well, I think a good place to start or continue to start is on the current sort of friendlies. The Brazil game, then obviously, as an atmosphere and what have you, you can kind of feedback as we go. Do you have well, just very, quickly to sum up, it was a 1-0 loss with the goal coming from Endrick. That's his name, isn't it? Endrick.
I mean, we
I
were calling him Elton, so I had no idea.
Elton.
Yeah, just Adam just kept saying to me, "Oh, what's his name?" And he gave me about 9 names, and he just went Elton. I was like, "Well, you've said Elton. I'm going to stick with that now." So he will forever be Elton to me.
He's a man who looks older than his years. He's kind of got the face. He just looks like he should have been playing football in the 1940s. I
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
him and I just,
Even like we were quite high up at Wembley. Cheaper tickets, fine by me. And he was a friendly. So and even then, he was like he just didn't look young. It was
yeah,
just like they'd brought on a short forward.
he is very young though.
Yeah,
He was born 12 days after the 2006 World Cup final where Zidane headbutted Marco Materazzi.
think I saw that, and but hearing it out loud said makes it even worse. Like written down, I could almost accept it of like a long time ago.
Yeah,
But oh, that's not great at all, is it? There's been a lot of talk about he is the next world football
yeah,
superstar,
yeah.
and it's like he scored a easy goal against England in a
An open
meaningless
goal.
friendly. Like, chill out, maybe.
He could be though. Well,
He
we don't
could be,
know.
yeah. But
I mean,
yeah, he could be a Robinho. Less said on him.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about the performance then. The result wasn't great, but was there enough there to satisfy? Some would suggest not, but obviously when we say that, there's a caveat that I mean, we can talk more about Gareth Southgate and his future
Mm,
a little bit later, but I feel like every single moment of every England game that's of note is just viewed through this prism of it's his fault or he's done something wrong that's led to this. I didn't think it was a great performance. I don't think
mm,
anyone could really argue that it was a great performance. But on the other side of the coin, I don't think I've ever felt as calm watching England play against Brazil and feel like
yeah.
we were kind of doing our own thing. It just didn't really finish up with the goals that you'd want. But we were missing key players. We had some good players playing, but
Mm.
and it's a friendly that none of the players probably really cared about that much, other than Endrick.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from him, who had been told say Bobby Charlton in the post match interview, and he
Yeah,
did, and he got the credit he deserved afterwards for saying he knows his football history. And it's like clearly someone's just said Bobby Charlton. You would never have known him.
he doesn't even know
It's a,
Zinedine Zidane.
well, yeah, and there you go. And you said then just any England game of note is picked apart. This wasn't an England game of note, and it's still the idea of what is he doing as the England manager, picking all these players, and he still can't get a tune out of them. It was very evident everyone was playing in like not even second gear, in first gear in that game. Apart from Jude Bellingham, I thought he was pretty good on the day. A
Yeah,
couple of other all right performances, but you wouldn't say anybody was like top of their game really. And it's a friendly which this international window of friendlies, I've never heard so much be said about God, why are we doing this? Why is this happening now? Like Gary Neville has pretty much declared that this should be banned without actually saying when this should be replaced in the calendar with. It's just a
banned.
case of like, well, I used to get pulled out of friendlies. I used to play for England, and it's
Yeah,
just all a bit, come on. I mean, Real Madrid do not want Jude Bellingham playing in these games. Harry Kane's pretty much just gone, nope, I'm not doing it now. I'm at Bayern Munich. And like the players who were injured said for this game as well, like Cole Palmer, who dropped out, and a few others, they'll play against Germany because that's clearly the deal that's been done with the clubs.
yeah. I was just looking at I think the one thing to take away maybe it could have even flew under the radar, but we got a glimpse into a Kyle Walkerless future.
Mm.
I went to the shop to get some cans at the start of the game. Very last minute decision. Thought I wasn't going to have any beers. Decided to. Came back and Kyle Walker was going off injured. Made me sad.
Also, what? So he went off what about 6 minutes in?
Yeah,
So you took the opinion of the England game was about to start. It started. I want a can now,
yeah. Well,
and
that
then
was.
immediately just down there. Oh, he's gone.
I can give you the greater detail if you like. We were discussing making a Sunday roast, but the shops didn't open until 10 a.m. on Sunday, which would have been too late to get the beef
To
and come
begin.
back and put the beef in. So why don't we go out now, get the beef so we can put it in at our own time in the morning. I can also get cans for the game. So
I
there
mean,
you go.
win-win for you, really, wasn't it?
Absolute win-win. Yeah, I think that's maybe the one of the biggest takeaways from the game. Really, is we obviously when the time comes, Kyle Walker's probably not going to be replaced by Conser.
Hmm.
Maybe he will be though.
It
But
it
that
was
that was
it,
sad.
it was in the worst situation ever that Kyle Walker could have gone out of the game though, because every single right back that we have talked about to say that England have got loads of great right backs
Yeah.
just weren't there. And it
No.
was like, all right, well, Kieran Trippier, who is kind of the number two, you'd say, and he will be in the squad, wasn't there. Trent Alexander-Arnold is the other one who you kind of say will play there, but how is he going to make it work defensively? Not there. Reece James just hasn't played much football in the last year. Again, he would be there. Ben White just doesn't want to play for England anymore because he's not playing any games. So he's gone. So
Yeah.
instead, you play an Ezri Konsa who doesn't really play there for
I know.
Aston Villa. So you're
Yeah.
kind of thinking, fucking hell, like, what happened to everybody?
It's like our bluff's been called.
Yeah, all right. You really want to see what happens with that Kyle Walker? Play Konsa.
Yeah, that's it. I was just going to say there on the right backs, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Well, this is the next thing, isn't it? Of like who's kind of like next then when you look at because isn't I think for the Belgium game Rico Lewis has been called up. I think he is a funny player. I never quite know where he plays or where his best position is because he spends most of his time in the middle of the pitch anyway.
Yeah, that's
So
a kind
if
of a new tactical feature of kind of the top teams, I think, isn't it?
yeah, I think a lot of them play a fullback inside now, don't they? So maybe he would be the one who plays against Belgium. And yeah, you just don't quite know. I mean, I thought Ben Chilwell had a really poor evening. There was a couple of occasions where it was almost people around me were just laughing because it's just like, God, Chilwell's on the ball again. And I know he's just coming back from injury and he'll probably go in the Euros anyway, but it's a bit of a reminder of just quite what a drop it is from a fit Luke Shaw. And who else is there to replace him? You'd probably again say Kieran Trippier is your third choice left back.
Yeah,
But I don't know
yeah,
what's happened with there was a lad at Crystal Palace, Mitchell, I think he was the left back. And there was talk of him maybe coming in and seeing what he could do. I'm not sure if he's injured or whatever either too, but hopefully England are just getting the injuries out of the way now. Because again, we've had more pullouts for the Belgium game when Harry Maguire's pulled out as well, which is just like again, that is clearly a deal that's been done with the club.
yeah. That's that, and again, that's fine. This is the nature of those friendlies. Just
Mm.
on the Belgium game, then, Declan Rice is going to be captain on his
Hmm.
50th cap for England.
50 already.
I know, as many as 50. I
Yeah.
mean, we've kind of lavished praise on Declan Rice plenty of times. It feels like he's definitely now getting that kind of wider recognition.
Mm.
Um, he's one player who England fans are happy to see play who isn't a striker or an attacking midfielder. I think
Yeah.
basically, most your man on the street will want three central attacking midfielders as a midfield, but I think we've all accepted that an England with Declan Rice is a better England. Potential kind of future captain, do you think?
Yeah, I think if everything keeps going that way, I think we've said for a while, he will be the next in line to be captain once Kane is no longer captain. It's not quite like in cricket where you do your time and you're just done with being the captain. Happened in football quite a lot, but it still seems cricket and you stay in the setup. Really, when you leave as the England captain in football, you're done playing for England, really, unless they kind of want to do it in the future where they try that. But I can only see it with Harry Kane leaving, and he'll probably just have one more crack of it in the World Cup. So
Yeah,
you're looking at probably Rice in his real prime then to become England captain if things stay the same for him, which you'd imagine he would because he is just brilliant.
definitely. Any other kind of predictions that you have? I mean, I think it's pretty pointless trying to predict the game. I mean, you can. Don't let me stop you. But it's kind of, I guess, the more interesting thing for England fans is the lineup. So you're saying Maguire that it's so hard to keep track of squads during
Mm.
like friendly breaks. You'd imagine that basically the people who didn't really get a run out in the first game would get one in the second.
You think so? Maybe Tony starting. You'd imagine instead because Watkins obviously had his chance and missed a good opportunity within that as well. Saka obviously pulled out. I was gonna say early. It's early in comparison to the ones we've had that have pulled
Yeah.
out. We'd be surprised if Cole Palmer doesn't start. Really, he seems to be.
Hasn't he pulled out?
I think he pulled out of the first game, which I think was the deal of we want to test him in that second game, so maybe he'll start for that. I think he's more of an interesting option than Jared Bowen. I think Jared Bowen is a good player, but I don't think anyone's really going to be crying if he doesn't go to the Euros. He may just be
Yeah.
one of those players who was a really, really good club player, but has come around in the wrong era of just not quite England level in this team.
I think Lewis Dunk would. Did you say has he dropped out? He'd be a good one to start.
I'm not sure actually. Well, Dunk came on and actually I thought was at fault for the goal.
Okay.
Um, so he seemed to just not react quick enough, and then they went in. And I said to Adam at the time, my friend, of yeah, if that was Maguire who had done what Dunk has done, I feel like it would have all been made about Maguire not good enough. Back to that argument again, but
He did have a
Jared.
couple of hairy moments,
Oh
Maguire.
yeah, I'm not saying he was perfect by any means, but I thought he was good in the overall.
Yeah.
Jared Branthwaite is one that's really interesting. I think he'll probably start. I don't know who's going to be left to partner him really. I'm imagining it's Stones again, but will Guardiola want him playing two games on the spin? So I think Branthwaite's the interesting one. And maybe do they go Kobe Minu from the start to see where that does happen? Just because England haven't really got many players there.
Yeah. I think Mainu's case was helped massively by Conor Gallagher's performance. I think the best thing that could have happened
Yeah.
for him was Gallagher putting in a performance like that. I mean, it's not like an all-time bad performance, but It doesn't
It was
exactly go, that's my place.
And that was his chance, I feel. That was his chance because I thought in the build up to this, yeah, Gallagher is quite a good option. He's quite frantic and mad, but I'd also still probably say he's better in front of the defense and breaking up the challenges and tackles instead of going when he goes anywhere in the final third, his brain just seems to leave him. I think it
Mm,
was really obvious in the Carabao Cup final. He must have had three chances to put Chelsea ahead in that game and he spurned them all. And, maybe if you do keep him away from breaking forward, it takes him away from his game. But I think he's probably the best person there at the minute just because Manu is so young and so inexperienced at this level or
right.
any level really.
So we'll come back to revisit some of those names because we'll have a little bit of a wider look at the squad with the Euros hat on as opposed to the starting lineup for the Belgium
Mm,
game. But a couple of wider stories, I guess. Southgate, Gareth Southgate, linked to the Manchester United job. I don't think this is a starter in terms of
mm,
a story, precisely that. But we've spoken quite a lot and said, yeah, Euro 2024 will be the end. He's kind of intonated it quite heavily,
mm.
but it's not. I only realised about an hour ago. It's not official, is he?
No, no, I don't think anything's actually been communicated. There's things I've listened to recently where they're like, is he going to stay on and whatever? And he's in that, that Bobby Robson period of when it was like, you go and win us the World Cup or you're sacked. And Bobby
Yeah,
Robson was just like, well, I'm going to leave then. This is ridiculous. And they were like, how dare you go and find a new job?
yeah,
It feels like basically, unless England get to the final, he's probably going to be not relieved of his duties, but I think the public impression in the general person is turning on him and has turned on him for a while. There'll be a lot of people who say he shouldn't have got a chance after losing the last Euros, which I think we definitely disagree with. And you instead go, well, you know what? The best thing for him to do, if I'm just thinking of him, is to walk away after this tournament because his contract's up in December anyway.
yeah,
So, yeah, just have that in terms of an extension. I don't think there should be a need for one because it is even how much we've enjoyed him and think he's done well for England. It's time to give someone else a go, no matter
yeah.
what that looks like.
I'll be honest. I love Gareth Southgate, and yeah, I just don't enjoy anything around England now. The whole like whatever kind of excitement there was after Russia, um, and going into the Euros. And it's not through my own opinion. Like I'm very happy with the team and
Mm,
his decisions and our performances, but the like that kind of silent minor, not silent, that noisy minority has
mm,
like crept up to basically being the majority, or at least it's like 50-50 in
yeah.
there, in my opinion, anyway. Like just everyone, it seems to be, even people who aren't mental
I
that
didn't. I
we
did
that we know.
in the ground. Yeah, in the ground, there wasn't anything. I mean, again, it's a friendly. There's lots of kids there. It was
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
game to be at. You never felt like, God, what is he doing? Like it
yeah,
never actually felt like that. It was more just a case of this is happening. England are missing chances, whatever. But I just think it is on a knife edge now to almost where we were at the start of the World Cup, where if England don't start well, I think it could get slightly ugly in terms of a public opinion. I mean,
yeah,
after that USA game we watched in the pub together, the day after and like immediately after full time, it was insane, the general opinion. And it is on social media and it's not the real world and all that, but it is a reflection of a lot of the real world still.
yeah. And I just think the criticism and the spotlight and the scrutiny, just in terms of he brought on, I think, was it Joe Gomez and Lewis Dunk at some point in the game, and it was 0-0. And when I was just searching now, because I was trying to find out if I'd just misremembered something, and he'd actually already confirmed he was leaving. So I just searched Gareth Southgate. And then there was a story, it's going to come from one of the tabloids, but I can't remember which one. And it was fans bemoan worst double substitution of all time. And it's just like he's clearly doing that because there's a plan to manage the minutes of the players. And
Hmm.
it's a sensible thing to, and I know that's what people beat him with is that word sensible. But like, there's nothing wrong with being sensible if you're managing minutes of players in a friendly,
Are, are we really having such a bad time that it is now the worst thing on earth that Joe Gomez and Lewis Dunk are getting 15 minutes for England.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Lewis Dunk is a player that you imagine is going to go to the Euros. He's done really well for Brighton. He's good at playing out from the back. Fine. Joe Gomez has done a lot of different jobs for Liverpool this season in a lot of different positions, and it's a good utility, person to bring back into the team. And you can't have all these players playing 90 minutes. So
And that
when
left back
you're,
spot's up for grabs, and Joel Gomez has been
yeah,
playing there. So you've got to see him.
yeah, to
So like
believe him.
you got to, yeah. And I was talking to my brother during the game, and he's on the negative
Mm,
anti-Southgate hype. Um, and he was saying this is why I don't like him. And I just said it's just crazy. I was like, my new line for this is he's England's most successful manager of the last 60 years, and it's not
mm.
even close.
No, not at all.
Like it's just not, and I would dare anyone to try and argue with that because it's just not one or two other managers got to like one semi-final. He's got to a semi-final and a final, which no other manager's done. And the World Cup, you can maybe look back at that as a minor disappointment or a big disappointment, but there's a lot of good stuff to take from that in terms of the most goals we've ever scored at World Cup, all of those kind of positive
Yeah,
stats that
yeah.
were coming out when the argument prior to the World Cup was we've got a manager who encourages us to play dull football. So he needs to let the handbrake off. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't get more handbrake off than scoring more goals than you ever scored in the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, they didn't play anybody good. Well, they've gone out to a lot of teams that haven't been good before, if you don't remember that as well. That's the English way.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. In terms of Southgate's kind of ongoing position, I guess in line with everything else he's done, it's kind of going to be assessed in a sensible, level-headed way when the time is right. I can't imagine him shopping himself out to Manchester United at the moment or
And with
any
all
club.
that Man United talk as well, the people who are going to make the decision on the next Manchester United manager, even though, time of recording, they still have one who is still in a stable position, the idea that, the people who are going to make that decision are not in place yet. And I've heard
Yeah,
a few people to be like, you know what, Southgate is such an Ineos decision. It's like, what? Because they've appointed people at Nice. Give me the
yeah,
last five Nice managers. You can't. It's not like they've done this and always tried to do that. They are going to make a decision based on who is the best people out there or the best for the job. Look, Southgate's name may come up in that conversation. However, I don't think that just picking him because he is seen as a boring corporate man for a boring corporate organization is the right thing. Oh well, there's the Dan Ashworth connection. Dan Ashworth is not an employee of Manchester United yet, and
yeah,
he's and there's still all this other things to kind of go. I mean, Graham Potter was seen as the next Man United manager 3 weeks ago
yeah,
because he fucking interviewed maybe for the Nice job last year. It's like it's just that it's a boring international week. You may be,
yeah,
Ratcliffe may be impressed with Southgate, but I just cannot see that is like, well, this is a done deal. And in the papers, it was like Southgate came out and said it was really disrespectful about Eric Ten Hag, and then went, "I'm the England manager. I'm focused on the Euros." And like the papers were like 1-0 England over Man United. It was like,
it's too
fucking hell! Like
much.
in like a week, you will be going get him out of England. Like
Yeah, yeah.
what is even going on here?
There's just no rhyme or reason to it. Another kind of wider story is the New England kits. I think we can swerve clear of one kind of topic around that. But thoughts from our kind of we've spoken about kits a lot in the past. I'm a big
Hmm.
fan of both, particularly like the home kit, and I particularly like the shorts. I think
Yeah.
it's a good look for England, and I do like the away one as well. Are you thinking we're going to be stylish at the Euros, or are you a bit underwhelmed?
No, I think that the whole home setup is really, really good. I think it looks great. I think like you said, the shirt itself, I think is really simple, but it's the best we've had in a long time. I like the trim on the end of the sleeves, the shorts. I think we said it; they look really good as well. The trim on them are great too. But I actually also really liked the what do they call it? The anthem jacket. So that
Yeah,
so
I
they
saw
released that as well, and they wore that. And I saw some pictures the next day of players in that, and I just thought, fuck, that looks really smart as well.
they've kind of leaned into what I would just call the Kevin Keegan era.
Right.
In my opinion, anyway, that's not something they've put out there, but I feel like, especially the shorts and that the shorts for the home kit and that jacket that you were just talking about, reminds me of something England would have worn in that Keegan era.
I was going to say, let's not draw too many comparisons to Keegan. That could never
As
end
a
well, can it?
as a
Really?
player era,
Yeah.
that was not his manager era.
Oh, as a player, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
think
like
the
80s.
I think the blue is so dark it is almost black,
Yeah,
which I think is a good look. 'Cause I don't like the black and white England kit itself. There was one a couple of years ago which was that, and I didn't really like it. But yeah, the dark blue I think is really really nice. I like the away one. I don't really like the stripe down the side, and I think when I first saw it, I thought it was more of a dark color. So I'm not as mad on that, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. And the white one's probably what we're going to wear most of the time anyway.
well, as soon as we see Jude Bellingham in it, we'll know if we like it or
Yeah.
not, and we
Oh yeah. I
probably
mean,
will
Saka
like it.
wore it well. Let's not get that wrong. But I love like launching this stuff now. Like it needs to immediately be in like Mundial magazine, and it's
Yeah,
always like players sat around in chinos on the box,
yeah,
like just desperate to be like fashion.
I know, I know. Well, the gap's closing all the time, really,
Mm.
isn't it? So we've spoke about the new kits. We've spoke about the future of the manager, who will definitely be there at Euro 2024. I'm going to make a prediction now.
Imagine if he's not. Let's just go. That Brazil game was unacceptable.
I know, yeah.
You brought on Joe Gomez. What were you thinking?
Look, man, fans are bemoaning it, and we can't have that. Um, fans do bemoaning, by the way.
Mm.
Anyway, let's talk about the players that will be wearing that kit and managed by that manager in the summer. We've obviously touched on this a little bit with the Brazil recap and the Belgium prediction, but let's just try and look at this through a wider lens. Yeah, the big picture. Um, just some of the headlines, really. Are big dogs then in the team? You kind of guaranteed spine, of the team players. Maybe start with the big dogs, Jude and Harry Kane. Obviously, at the
Hmm.
start of the season, both moved to new clubs, to new countries. Jude moving to Spain to join Real Madrid, and Harry Kane moving to Germany to join Bayern Munich. And it's been going really well for both of them in terms of individually. I think surely Real Madrid are in a better position than Bayern in terms of as a club. The
Yeah, yeah,
trophy winner.
I'd say so. You've also got though it doesn't feel right that two of England's two best players are both playing at non-English clubs and are both doing really well. Like this has never
Yeah,
happened before. It feels
yeah,
like
yeah,
you've got one who's out there going, I'm flying the flag, and then there's a scandal, or it's just going all right. But this feels like England's two best players no longer play in England,
yeah.
and it just seems so strange to me.
And our league's stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah, in theory, exactly. But there's still something about it where Jude Bellingham probably will never play in the Premier League. There's a very good chance of that. And
Yeah,
then you've still got Harry Kane, who probably will.
yeah,
I've just have a thing about he will do his time in Germany. He'll stay there until he wins something. Not this year, but
I know.
he will stay there. And then I think, the idea of him coming back to Spurs for a couple of years before he goes to fucking be a coach in the NFL, what the hell he's going to do.
Yeah, I think statistics wise, and I don't tell the full story, but Harry Kane, 35 games across the Champions League and Bundesliga, 37 goals. Pretty good. Jude Bellingham,
But Bayern Munich stats them, aren't they?
yeah, Jude Bellingham, 31 games, 20 goals and nine assists. I think Harry Kane's got 12 assists as well. I mean,
Mm.
both just as you say, absolutely smashing it. And if we are to do anything, it's going to be down to them. I know the public would favour Jude over Harry,
Mm.
but Harry Kane's always done the business for England, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm excited to see what he can do at the Euros this summer with Jude backing him
I think
properly
so.
this time.
And actually having, I know Kane is going to have played a lot for Bayern Munich, but you still feel like if they're out of the German title race, which it looks like they are going to be, and they're out of the Champions League, he's kind of going to be able to dictate his own schedule, maybe. He'll play a lot, but, if they're already qualified for next year, they can't win the league, they're out of the Champions League, you feel good chance for Kane to play, to keep just ticking over. Yeah, I think, good chance that the La Liga season will go a bit further for Real Madrid and a bit closer. So yeah, Kane coming into a tournament fully fit, which he hasn't been for quite a while, and rested and all that stuff. It feels like under the radar, he's been a bit on the brink a lot for England. It seems there's always been a race, or he's exhausted, or he hasn't played enough, or his ankle's about to snap, and it takes him a while to get into the tournament.
In terms of those guaranteed starters or the spine of the team, Would you put Saka in there?
Yeah, I mean he's been
I think
excellent
he
again
has to be right.
for Arsenal. He's been excellent again. He's gone up another level, which I kind of didn't see happening, but he just has been doing that really well. I mean, Saka, I would say, was a miss from the weekend. Who's made that position his own. You know, I think he's the most recent England Player of the Year, most likely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's that right-handed side. I think Foden, just because of the idea that you have to get him in there somehow, he is going to play on that left side. That's why maybe when he played on the right, he just doesn't do that a lot for England. And
Foden's an
I know he
interesting one,
has, but
definitely. Saka's got 16 goals and 13 assists in 37 games. And another guaranteed starter, I would say, is Declan Rice, his Arsenal teammate. He's been getting a few goals as well for Arsenal. And again, as with Kane and Jude, has done really well since a massive move in the summer. Hasn't left the country, hasn't even left
no,
the city. That
yeah,
does, but we can't hold that against him. I guess in goal, Pickford's a guaranteed starter as well, and he's having a fine. I mean, I say he's having a fine season at Everton. He's a decent FPL pick,
yeah.
but I'm not really sure why. But he kind of seems to be, and I feel like it doesn't really matter. And that's like, I don't think there's anything he could do to not start for England at the Euros.
No, and again, Everton aren't doing poorly because of Jordan Pickford. He's one of the reasons why they're actually above the relegation zone to the point they are as well, with all the points deduction and things like that. So he's clearly one of their better assets and better players. And yeah, he has to be a guaranteed starter, like you say. And with the kind of people behind him falling away every single day, it seems as well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't really see who that next person would even be. So why bother?
John Stones and Maguire both seem to be like injured and out of form at like opposing times, but then somehow
Hmm.
manage to both start for England whenever it comes around. So kind of we've said the guaranteed starters and listed quite a lot of the team, but there's so many moving parts there. But there's a quick update. I think a guaranteed squad member it would seem, and somebody who has left the country and left another country this year, Jordan Henderson. We may have mentioned him a little bit earlier. He's become a bit of a what's the word? A kind of avatar, a bit of a sort of
Hmm.
he's not he can't be discussed without it being a big wider conversation
Yeah.
because I feel like looking back, he was in the Russia squad.
Yeah. He was
Um,
playing, he started in Russia as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of his peak, I would say. And then Euros was he? I think he was out of the squad by that point.
So he played his part in the Euros and he came on. I think Phillips and Rice had started their partnership there as
Yeah,
well.
that's right.
And Henderson would come on like towards the end of games to kind of see them out with his experience. And then at
But
the
it
World Cup, it was
felt like we'd moved on in
yeah.
midfield, and then at the World Cup, I'm guessing you were going to say he wasn't really starting. Then something happened, and I can't remember what happened. But
Wasn't
it
it
might,
that Phillips was just too injured? Like he was coming back from injury and he was a race against time to get him fit. And then it was just the fact that he ended up playing enough. He started against Senegal when they wanted to keep Jude Bellingham like further forward. So they kind of released Bellingham and by doing Henderson there, that meant that he was able to occupy that space with Declan Rice and get the best out of Bellingham. And then England just accidentally played him against France and he kind of got run over, really.
yeah, I was yeah. I think we may have said at the time, I just felt like that was going to be a game too much for him, and it, in my opinion, it did prove to be. I feel like all game I was just watching, going, he's just getting run past again, or he's getting passed around again, and what have you. And yeah, there's an article. I just Googled Jordan Henderson World Cup 2022. One of the first results is an article from goal.com. I'm not sure about the, reputation of that site, but it's an opinion piece anyway, called Unused to Undroppable. So that is, and it just feels like since then, that's not changed. Like, I think
Yeah.
if he wouldn't have dropped out from this squad, he would have been playing at the weekend, and it's just a case of who's back up for him at the Euros. And I just don't know if I agree with that, considering he spent half the season in Saudi Arabia and is now playing for an Ajax side who got absolutely smashed by Aston Villa.
Mm.
And it's just I'm not understanding the Henderson thing. I'm understanding his qualities as a man, like to have around the squad and like a bit of
Mm.
leadership, but we'll get on to. I'm
I
a big
think,
Kobe Manu fan,
yeah,
but there's other options anyway.
I think the issue has been Phillips and Rice is your first choice. Phillips has been when he moved the move to Man City with all everything he's won and all that has been disastrous in terms of it's almost cost him his England place to the point where he had to move football clubs, and ever since then it's just got worse.
I know.
Like
He would have
he
been
did
better
that
staying
to
at Man City.
yeah, genuinely, that would have done his chances better because he'd have played less, so he'd have fucked up less. So you think that this was his chance, and he's been awful for West Ham to the point where he's just not even playing for them anymore. So he's hindered his chances there. This is the place where England are weakest anyway, you'd say,
Yeah.
in central midfield in terms of the two holders. So then you do have to go, right, are we going back to Henderson? Are we going to Gallagher? Is it Kobe Mainu? And there's not really anybody else left.
Trent
That
was
is
playing
kind of
there for a
it.
bit. I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't shake this feeling that it's Henderson's place to lose. I could be wrong. I don't think that's ever
I
been
think
said.
I feel like when we get to that first game, um, maybe he'll start there just to try. But I think as England hopefully progress and go along, he will play less games as we see it because I just don't think he's got it about him anymore to do that. Even though those around him aren't pulling up trees to replace him, I think they will just Southgate will find a way of not playing him because I think it's just seen as he's not there and that not that level anymore, even just to get by without him.
Yeah, I think he's kind of, well, I guess, I mean, he's the last of the old guard. You could say in one sense, but he's also the last of the old guard we're going to talk about. And we look at
Mm,
the new players that are potentially coming through. I think we have really covered everyone who's pretty much, other than your Carl Walker and whoever's going to play at left back. But the tried and tested names, they're there. But the youngsters
mm.
coming through, let's start, I think, with Kobe Mainoo, because it does feel like there's a lot of positive hype around him. The reaction for him when it came on, you can probably tell me
Really
different, but
surprising.
yeah,
Like
it
it
sounded
was,
good on the TV.
yeah, it was just like when he came on, I just thought, okay, here's mainly I'm really happy I'm here to see it. And then everyone just went mad. Like it was like everyone's been calling for it for so long almost, even though he only made his like Premier League debut like back in October, November, was it? So
Yeah.
he's he's and I remember having a text with someone and like they jokingly said, "Oh, Manu for the Euros," and there was a little bit of just going, "Oh, you never know," because I'd seen enough of him at club level and heard about him to go really interesting player, and he's really excelled. And one of the things that's been thrown at him a little bit in some of the courses is, well, he's only standing out because he plays for Man United and they're a mess in midfield.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath they go, hasn't Cole Palmer done well at Chelsea? I was like, have you seen Chelsea? Like he's standing out because he's their best player probably, but that's not a hindrance to him. But it's seen as a hindrance to mine who actually he's not that good because Man United are just bad. It's like, well, again, that you can't have it both ways, I feel.
Well, I will say on that, and this is very, very petty of me, but on that topic where you were just saying about texting someone, what have you, I remember suggesting to you, and I've got the text in front of me now, and this is on
Oh, here we
the
go.
3rd of December. I was saying I feel like there's a few good young players around who are going to push for a squad place this season. Uh, your response before I'd even named anyone, can't see it. Can't see it.
Let's
This is
see
the
it.
last ride for a lot of players. Then new manager, new players. Do you have any suggestions on these new players? You ask me.
What? So you just suggested Minu
No,
as a player who could break through,
I hadn't
or
suggested anyone at that point. I said Moinu, Gordon, and Palmer, all of
okay.
which, in a
Hmm.
way, have made this squad.
Okay, is Gordon going to go to the Euros?
I think he definitely could. I thought he was all right on Saturday.
I thought he was quite disappointing. I know it's his
Yeah,
first game for England. I just didn't feel like he had any of that snap like that you really want from him. And I guess it's because maybe again everyone was just kind of taking it really easy, and maybe that inertia kind of like went into him as well. I think Palmer is the one where as well you think is he going to go just because James Madison is the shiny toy kind of who is going to do that job?
yeah. I think that the latest squad was very heavy with attacking players, wasn't it? I mean, to
Mm.
see Watkins, Tony, Palmer, and I think the midfielders that, like as we've mentioned, that's kind of a weak point. But I think Palmer was listed as a midfielder in that squad, and really
And
you'd
you
probably
even
say
got
as
like
attacker.
you even got like you say the some of the other ones of like Bowen as well, who's kind of in and around the team too. But I think it's just because with mine, it's just because there is just nobody else there really. Like
Are
I
you?
wouldn't.
I was just going to say, in your mind, like you're kind of ideal slash slightly realistic interpretation of what that team would be, would you put Minu in the midfield?
Would I start him for England at the Euros?
Yeah, have you
In
seen
in
it? And do you think he could handle it? Like, if he did it, if he did start, do you think it would be too soon for him based on what you've seen? Because I'm convinced he's like he would just add so much good balance to that midfield.
yeah.
He's such a keeper of the. Imagine if you had somebody who could keep the ball like him back when Sven was
Mm.
manager.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
they did
we
call
probably
Michael.
did,
We had Michael Carrick and Paul Scholes, and he still didn't want to do it. So
but he's also like got his whole future ahead of him. Whereas maybe they were a bit older, or I don't know. He just feels a bit different to me. I
I
think
think the thing with Miner, it depends how you use him because he's clearly good going forward. You know, we've all seen like the little clips about what he can do going forward and changing the game like that. I think at the minute England just need someone to just look after the ball quite well. Don't do anything too silly. Give it to the better players. Give it to the more experienced players because you've still got this thing with Declan Rice of going, they're not getting the best out of Declan Rice. He can go score forward and score goals. It's like we don't need him to do that.
yeah, he's
That's
very
not
good
what.
at what he's currently
Yeah,
doing, and
yeah,
nobody
well,
else is.
I'm going to commission an artist to paint a picture of my dog, but I'm really good at cats. Actually, shall I do some cat? No, I want a picture of the dog. That's all I want. Don't want anything else. And this is kind of the thing we get in with England. We just chuck all these players into in a game that it just can't work like this unless they're walking over a team, and the balance just goes, and you go back to the Sven years. So what they need is just someone really sensible like Kobe Mainoo to maybe play him there. Personally, I think what will probably happen is they'll probably start Henderson, or if a miracle happens, Phillips, and
Yeah.
Miner will probably start the second or third game, and that is a slower way to get him into maybe starting. We don't know what happened till then, but that midfield next to Rice is the biggest concern for me by quite a distance.
Do you think he might make the squad?
I think at the minute, the way it's going up, because I just do not see who else is going to play in that central midfield role with Rice. Say he takes Rice, Henderson. I don't think he's going to take Phillips. So
Interesting.
you kind of want someone else there. Maybe you're going to go, well, it could be Alexander Arnold, but he just, clearly has issues slightly playing with England and can't stay fit long enough to stay in the England team at times. I don't think they've played enough games with him in that position. So to me, if you look at it, if it's between Mainu and it's between Phillips, I think you take Mainu.
And like I think you mentioned something about shiny. I think Minu just being around makes that position next to Rice less of a miserable proposition.
Yeah.
It's not like okay, like we're going to play Henderson or Gallagher, that'll be fine. At least there's
Mm.
an alternative, whether we want to go
Yeah.
with it or not. Because to be honest, there's nothing wrong with Conor Gallagher in my opinion. I think he's decent, but
Yeah.
we shall see. We've got Jared Branthwaite as a centre back coming through. We've got one. We've
Yeah.
got one. I thought that the well had run dry with Stones and Maguire. I know there's been Tamora and a couple of players who've popped up over the years, but he seems like he's going to be Harry Maguire or John Stones sort of level player, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, just someone new coming in as well. Lewis Dunk, I think, has been fine, but he's probably 31 now. It's not like he's going to get like another big run in the team. Tomori, I think from what you hear, he's very good in Italy, but there's something that, this manager's just not really liked from him. Mark Gray, I think I've just not seen enough of him. And I know
Yeah.
I hear about all this good stuff, and he'll probably get a move to an even bigger club soon, but I just don't see what he brings. Like, I don't feel like he's got electric pace. I don't feel like he's amazing in the air enough. He's standing out in, a Crystal Palace team that have been doing. I
Mm.
don't really know. I think it's going to come where if he does get that move, fine. But him going as a squad player next to a Branthwaite, maybe. I think because he's left-footed, because he's quick, because he's tall, all the ingredients are kind of there for him to get a place in the team, in the squad. Even though I heard someone saying that he should now start at the Euros, which is mental because he's never played for England as time of recording.
Yeah, this is just one of those. But I'm excited. As I say, there's options there coming through that are realistically pushing for a place in the squad, and they're stretched out across the pitch, which is
Hmm.
great. We've got also a kind of I've called them on the notes the not so youngsters coming through, and
Yeah.
these are kind of the players who will bulk out the squad, and you would hope are going to be substitutes, impact substitutes, or come in if there's an injury and will be needed to step up straight away. Kind of names like Jared Bowen, Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk, Esri Konsa, Conor Gallagher as well. And then you've got Ivan Tony and Ollie Watkins. I mean, a question really is: are these guys? Is that list there kind of good enough? When you can, I think there's a lot of good players in there, but when you consider, like, if you're looking at the World Cup 2022 squad, we're looking to probably miss the likes of Jack Grealish, Raheem Sterling, Mason Mount, Callum Wilson, Ben White. Are there some higher
Hmm.
profile names than others in there? But are we? Is the general level of the squad kind of decreasing, or is it leveling out, or is what's your
I,
thoughts on it?
I think some of them are a bit of a much of a muchness, aren't they? I think
Yeah,
some of them you kind of go, yeah, we haven't got the Raheem Sterling who, but I don't think he's really going to be that missing for England, even though, what a great career he's had. You wouldn't really argue for me if he got a place in the team over Rashford, but it feels like his England career is coming to an end slash has. It's probably a flip of a coin between Jack Grealish or Marcus Rashford who's going to go
well,
because there are just so many other ones.
Isn't Jack Grealish like injured for the rest of the season? Or have I exaggerated that?
Maybe exaggerated. He is at City, so you never know what could happen with that. But still, we've got the idea that, there are other good forward players there, so many that you probably won't miss them. If I was going to pick Jared Bowen or Jack Grealish to go, I'd say Jack Grealish because he has just got that thing about him for England where it's more interesting when he is there.
Yeah, let's just have some
And
fun.
yeah, exactly. And again, nothing wrong with Jared Bowen. Some of the other ones, Joe Gomez makes the England squad, something's gone wrong. Nothing against him. It's just more that clearly other players are not fit enough. So he goes, who's a squad player. Ezri Konsa as well. Maybe under the next manager, he'll get a bit more of game time, and he's been very good for Villa. But I'm not really thinking he's going to come in and be the person who saves England's campaign either.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but the squad that it feels like the squad that we're living with at this precise moment in time. It's like, oh shit, these holes in the squad are going to really hurt us in the Euros. When in reality, you'll be taking as the strongest possible squad and with like the most kind of risk and reward analysis done on any gambles. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, so for example, we won't be thinking, oh God, Ollie Watkins didn't play that well.
Hmm.
What we're going to do, because Harry Kane will be there. We'll have Saka there, and you'd hope that we'd have Kyle Walker not going off in 10 minutes, or at least we've got time to look at those issues kind of beforehand. But it is exciting. It is exciting when I look at names like Lewis Duncan, Conor Gallagher, Joe Gomez, and like that. I am a little bit meh, but I
But
do also
they are
rate
kind
us.
of your reserves of reserves almost. Gallagher will probably go, but you'd
Yeah,
still say, really, you're giving those guys a bit of a chance rather than they're going to come on and do something for England or even go to the tournament in times. Like we said, Anthony Gordon probably not going to make it this time round, but
um,
it's good to at least have him in there already.
one name we haven't mentioned or have in very quick passing is James Maddison as well. And I mean, if you go
Mm.
back to the start of the season, he's playing so well for Spurs. Ray Parler saying it's his number 10 shirt and nobody can get
Was it
close to
Chris
it.
Sutton? Was it
Chris
Sutton that said
Sutton.
that? It feels like because he obviously doesn't play for like Man United or Arsenal, so he's like he is the man
Yeah,
to
sorry.
do this.
I said Ray Parler because I just Googled Jack Grealish to find out about his injury. Apparently he's going to be ready for Man City's next game. So I was way
Oh,
off.
there you go.
But also alongside that, 3 days ago, Talksport, Ray Parler claims Jack Grealish must start for England.
Must start. Are we really back to
He's
that
not
already?
he's
Like
not
it's
having
getting
a
old now, guys. Come on.
he's not having a must start for England season, is he? Let's be
I
fair.
mean, he's not playing for City. Full
Yeah.
stop.
So let's think about the future. Then the next England fixtures are against Bosnia and Herzegovina on the 3rd of June and Iceland on the 7th of June. Did you mention an Australia game earlier? Have I just made that up?
No, I've not said Australia.
So the final Premier League match is on the 25th of May. The Iceland game, as I say, is on the 7th of June. And that is also, I believe, the deadline for squad submissions for Euro 2024. So you would imagine when the squads are announced for the Bosnia and Herzegovina and Iceland games, that's going to be the Euro squad, unless it's kind of a last chance for some players. But it's interesting. I don't know if it usually tallies up quite like that.
Well,
We like we
you've also got the Champions League final, which is going to be on the 1st of June. So I think it's probably going to be that thing again of
Oh yeah, yeah.
if an English club are there, their players won't travel until the second game. They'll probably turn up for that one instead. So yeah, there's still a chance with that as well. There's the FA Cup final, which I think the FA Cup finals, 25th of May, and the weekend previous is the Prem last
Right.
weekend too. So there's still a few more extra games, and then maybe a few players are a bit more rested. But yeah, very warm up. That has got big Euro 2004 warm up written all over it. I'm pretty sure England battered Iceland at the Etihad,
Yeah.
leading up to that around that. So I think that's just another one to get in there. I think they're taking those England games on the road as well.
Okay. Interesting. Do you know where? Not Molyneux
Uh,
again for a 4-0 beating just before the
no,
tournament.
probably not through the hate-filled Molyneux. No, one of them's at St James's. I know that. So and they maybe they'll do the other one up north somewhere too. So should be interesting at least. But yeah, one at St James's. That's proper retro.
It is. Yeah, I was trying to see if I could quickly find
I
where
remember
the
they
other one.
played Ukraine and they played the Ukraine at St James's when Shaw Wright Phillips. I think it was after Euro 2004, and it was seen as like, yes, finally Sean Wright Phillips gets his chance for England.
Yeah, the Iceland game is at Wembley. That's the send off, in the Bosnia games at
I
Newcastle.
mean, Wembley, Iceland. Come on. What are you doing? You know what you've done.
And then after that, it's full steam ahead for the Euros. The group, as a little reminder, is Serbia, Denmark, and Slovenia. I did have a panic the other day when because I think the playoffs are happening now, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh no, we haven't got one of those blank playoff slots, have we? Because I think I saw Wales went through or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not.
Well, no, so we've not got in our group now. So Wales are playing Poland, and then that will be the decider of who goes through to some. Because again, it's still not finalised yet, which is the whole point of this international break is to finalise who's going to the Euros. But because
Yeah,
that doesn't affect a lot of teams, they're like, "Why are we doing this again?"
we kind of spoke about this before, didn't we? And I think we were saying at the time there was absolutely no way, or maybe it's for a future tournament, but we were like, they're still going to find a way to make like teams like Italy and like that kind of qualify. But no, I
I,
think I
I
think
feel like are Croatia there. I still feel like Croatia are like on the brink of getting there again somehow.
I think the finals I've got in front of me Wales versus Poland, Ukraine
Hmm.
versus Israel, and Georgia versus Greece. So I don't think Croatia or Italy are in the tournament. Is that right?
I think Italy went through because there was a really dodgy
Uh,
VAR decision that they got against Ukraine, and it was
Croatia
like
are
that's
there as
no
well.
good. I knew though. I thought
They're
they'd
in a
just
group.
gone like, nope.
They're in a group with Spain and Italy. So
Oh God,
God, who knows? Eh?
glad I'm not there. I don't want to be one of those teams who get dumped out of it by Croatia.
That's it. We'll have to when we get a bit closer, take a look at all the outcomes and plan our route to the final. But I think that's pretty much it. I think I got some pasta to eat and crack
Lovely
on
old
with
job.
the evening. This will be coming out Tuesday morning, so come on England tonight. Ivan Tony hat trick. I'd love to see just once a backup striker do well. They always have a
Yeah,
shit game, don't they? They always have a shit game.
yeah. It's not like the '90s when like Ian Wright would score four and you'd be like, well, that was fun. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Teddy Sheringham would just have a great game and you'll enjoy it. It's like it's Harry Kane or it's fucking no
It's
one.
always like 70 minutes in, and they go, well, he's been a bit isolated up there, hasn't he? And the
Yeah,
team's so used to playing with Kane. No, it's a
worked
tough
hard.
job. He's worked hard, and I think he'll be pleased with himself for that. But there you go. All
Mm.
right then, Nick. Up the Three Lions. Speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon.
You may be a stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been through, that anyone